Add it up.
Well, good morning. How have you guys been? It's been at least a week and some change since we saw each other. There were a couple of people who were not able to make it to the last study session, so we all kind of studied individually. But I did get some feedback from some people. They still wanted to do the group. We are still going to be here. So let's do a couple of housekeeping things first for those that are new. Let's go ahead and let you know what's going on. So in your bottom right hand corner, you will see a time. Okay. On that time will count down from 45 minutes. We will study for 45 minutes. Then we have a 5-minute break. We typically come back and then we go over some quick quiz questions. And then once we get done with that, then we are out of here. This is 1 hour. It is 8 a.m. Central Standard Time on the 30th. So we are almost done with April and we are going into May. And so for those of you that don't know, we will also be studying tomorrow. It'll be later in the day, but for some people, they prefer to study on Saturday and Sunday. So I am happy to oblige you guys. So with that being said, let's go ahead, get studying. I am going to cut this music down a bit so you guys don't have so much in your ear and you can hear me quite easily. But so we left off before, just a quick review since we were gone for a little bit of time. I had to move back in my book because I had started to read further along than we were. So just so you know, in case you are wondering. Okay, so this is the book that we are studying from. We are just studying on the digital version of it. This book is written by Mike Chapple, and we are studying Mike Chapple's work right now for our exam. This is for the Data Plus exam. And so for those of you that are tuned in, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and get started since we only have 45 minutes and then we get testing. Okay. So the last thing that I recall us talking about was the breakdown of the exam. And Mike was going through or is going through the book. Now, if you haven't taken Mike's class, okay, we did take Mike's kind of preparatory course for this work. And so we're kind of making a move from there. But if you haven't taken Mike's class on LinkedIn, it's really good. It does help you to prepare for at least to go into his book. So let's go ahead and get started and starting on our work. No, you guys are fine. Come on in. I appreciate you being here. If there's any questions or something you need me to go back in a page on or something like that, just leave a comment. It comes to me and then I can, whatever the question is, I can bring it on the screen so we can all take a look at it if we need to. Or if it's something that is you want to speak directly to me, you certainly can send me a message. And whatever you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're watching me at right now, you can just leave a message. So And no, I'm not gonna read the information to you guys. You guys are grown. You can definitely do that yourself. You don't need me to do that part. But what I will do is kind of get the distractions out of your way here. I should probably make sure that we are on Do Not Disturb and to ensure that there is nothing that will disturb us while we're working. As you guys know as well, I'm also going through a course through Coursera for the Google Data Analytics Professional Certificate. One of the things that we talk about um, quite often is on like where you're getting your data from, and then how that data, like how we have to go through and we have to clean that data. So we talk a great deal about that. So I'm intrigued to see what Mike does in this book, and not different, but more so like how he focuses on it differently. Did you guys notice this? He said, in fact, many analysts, professionals estimate that cleaning and manipulating work consumes 80% of the time spent on their analytics projects. So that means like, I mean, I think we should at least put that in blue. And for those of you that are new that don't know what the color schemes are, okay, so anything that we might see in an exam or something like that is going to be in yellow. If we are putting something in blue, that's really like if you were trying to explain what you do as a data analyst to a friend or a family member, you would use something that you'd put in blue. And then we also have two additional colors. So pink is specifically our answers when we get ready to like try to take a test, or something to that nature. And orange is just something specific for me. So you guys don't have to use that color, but I just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page for what we're using the colors for, if you decide to use the same type of format. Okay. Um, a good catch. Yes, I should have my glasses on. I can see without my glasses. It's not that I can't see it. Just trying to read with them sometimes sucks. I'm sure there's somebody else out there on the stream that also either has to wear contacts or wear glasses, or maybe you wear both. Yeah, that's better. Oh, one of the things that we did in the Google class is right now we're going into BigQuery, and we're using it to pull down data sets. Like one of the data sets we were working with is this data set from IDB, and like all of these movies, and being able to go through the data and like organize it by genre, or find out what was the top grossing video, or excuse me, top grossing movie for a specific year, stuff like that. The That data set it's big, but I think what like caught me off guard was the first time I actually had to go through and did it right, where you're able to just query specifically what you want and it shows up. That's when I like freaked out. I was like, oh my goodness, I actually did something right. Like, it was a weird set. I was just, when it was saying 51 row data set, I'm like, 51 rows. Like, that one is the one I think we have is like 1,500 or something like that, because we didn't query everything, but just specifically this IDB area that they gave us for the data set for class. Oh, this was one from his class that Mike Chapple had, where he was going through and he had this, like, yeah, he had this. In the video, it was, I believe it was in color, if my memory serves me correctly. Uh, but he was saying, like, the darker areas, this was showing the tuition based off of state. And he was using this as a visualization and explaining, like, this is some of the quality of work that we'll have to do. Being able to take data, for example, like the data that's here, being able to take this and then turn this into this, so that people who are looking, you can easily look at this and say, oh, for example, these darker areas like California, the average tuition in California, obviously, it's going to be higher, or areas that are really light, where it's like, hey, your tuition is lower. But if you were to look at this, that's hard to see. So when people are asking, like, well, what is data science? That's part of it. Excuse me. That's what analysts do, is take that information into the other form and put it into a form like this, so that people can read it and interpret it and then provide recommendations. So and a lot of what you're creating is going to end up being in a dashboard. And then that dashboard is where the leaders or whomever it is that is going to be looking at the work, it's going to go and look at it anyway. So, chapter 7 covers reporting and communications. I believe there was a test question on this, actually. When we did the last quiz had a question on. Now, I know that was like a week or so ago when we did it, but it had a question between the differences between predictive and descriptive analytics. Hmm. I wonder if the predictive analytics part is something that, as you kind of go further down the rabbit hole of the whole data science world, I'm wondering if predictive analytics is something that applies to like learning and neural nets. Um, but I'll be intrigued to, because that's predicting future events, and that's what machine learning does. Um, so I'll be very, very intrigued to see how predictive analytics plays into that. Okay, specific future mail. Hmm. Interesting. So, predictive versus prescriptive. Okay, so we are going to. Okay, we should probably. I wish they gave you a way to have this like going down. Oh, I already have that one. That's something they should improve on as well. Like if you already have it highlighted, then all right. And we are back to where we were when we left class last time. And look at that. We got machine learning, artificial intelligence, and deep learning. I learned this process at my current job, in my current role, learning how to segment customers. Specific, and one of the things that I had never really considered prior to starting to learn about like how computers talk and how data is collected. One of the things that I never noticed, and maybe you guys did, but I never noticed like the commercials that come on TV. If you've ever noticed, you could be, let's say you're on a Spanish channel, okay? You're on Univision watching TV. The commercials that are targeted for that market is very specific versus if you're watching BET and there's a target market for there. But what I didn't notice as I've started to watch YouTube and other programs and learn like part of how the algorithm is keeping track of what you watch as to be able to depict what you would watch based off of what a lineup they're going to have coming down the line. Apple is a good example of this because like I watch a lot of nature programs and documentaries. So I didn't put that into any system. I just would watch the programs. So Apple Plus has started to learn that I like specific documentaries and specific nature programs. And they've even gone so far as to start to say, okay, you watch David Attenborough, for example. I enjoy watching his nature programs and the documentaries that he's done. And so they will go through and each program that he's had, even if it's not documentary, they will recommend it. So I just like being able to segment customers, and the companies have gotten so good at segmenting the customers. I think like the machine learning aspect is, but one thing about machine learning that I've learned is that also takes a lot of computing power. So that's not something like, hey, you're going to be doing machine learning on an iPad. I mean, I'm sure, actually, I'm not sure. I don't know if you can do machine learning on an iPad. But I think that machine learning takes a lot of computing power because you have to, in like artificial intelligence, you have to teach that item the same way you would teach a human. You've got to give it the things that feed that. And then the deep learning portion comes later on when they start to understand, and then you want it to start quote unquote thinking. So, this is like one portion of the rabbit hole. When I saw segments, and I'm like, oh, I finally realized how important segmenting is and why that applies to the bigger picture. It was so funny. Look, he went into exactly what I just went over. uh, Based off of, yeah, I'm going to put that in a blue because that's something when you're talking to people and they're trying to understand what you do as a data analyst and they're like, wait, what? You look at Excel spreadsheets and it's like, that's part of it, yes. But that is not the whole thing. Okay, so this is important. I'm sure this will be a test question. What is artificial intelligence? Okay, good definition of that. Maybe we are going to have an image. Okay. Uh, okay. It does show a relationship of it, yes. And I see like where he's going with this because you you have artificial intelligence goes through to explain if I guess I'm trying to understand like how would you explain artificial intelligence to a 5-year-old? If I were telling a 5-year-old artificial intelligence is teaching a computer to think like a human. And the way that you would go about to teach them is the machine has to learn. So you start to feed it information. You start to feed it like you would a human. And then it learns. And just like a human, it starts to have a deep learning and it can start to detect patterns. Just like you know to go to the bathroom, you know to get that breakfast happens at a certain time every day. That is because you're just like this, you learned, okay, a specific aspect. After you learned that specific aspect, you started to memorize things and you started to apply those things. So that's how artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. So I can understand where he's coming with this. Um, I do like his examples that he gave here, though, to really understand like the breakdown of it. But if you're explaining it to somebody, um, one part about deep learning that I want to just put it in an orange is that he specifically said it is highly specialized subfield of machine learning. And those I don't know necessarily that we will need to know that it's a subfield. But I could see there being a question like what is deep learning and like understanding why that's important. We took a in his class he went over data governance, and then that's when we were starting to get into like who is like data stewards and who is responsible for the data, that type of thing from his exam. I mean from his classes, I remember that. Hmm. Hmm. That's important. Without strong governance, analytics programs can't function effectively. And he chose his words very carefully with that because he could have said without strong governance, analytics programs fall apart or something like that. But he used the words function effectively because they can still function, but not effectively if you are not, if the program is not well implemented and maintained. I have not started to learn like R programming. I've been really focused on developing my skill set in SQL, as the large portion. I'm assuming is SQL and R, but at this point right now, I haven't started anything in learning the R language. Okay, that's regular Excel. What's interesting is that R has like R Studio. This has it has a look similar to SQL, but you don't write the, at least from, I'm just looking at the query. You're not writing the query the same way, not even close. Well, we're, I guess, kicking that part off to get into the first domains. Okay, so compare and contrast different data types and compare and contrast common data structures and file formats. Somehow I feel this is going to be a test question. A data element is an attribute about a person, place, or thing containing data within a range of values. Okay, so we're talking about domesticated animals. Okay, so individual data types support structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data. Let's explore the different types. So I'm curious. I'm gonna write a note to myself regarding what is structured data. We actually had this in a class too. Now that I think about it, we had this in the class, in the Google class, the differences between structured and unstructured data. Okay. Looking at the row for okay, so structured data types. Okay, so that's key to know. So I asked the question to refresh, just so you guys know, you are hitting your 5-minute mark before we go on our break. So just be prepared for that portion. And then we will kind of pause and switch over to going through our kind of rapid quiz taking. So that we can kind of solidify where we are. So structured data is tabular in nature, organized into rows and columns. Structured data is what we typically comes to mind when we're thinking about a spreadsheet. That's actually really useful. I definitely think that we will see what is structured data on an exam. So the information uses numbers instead of words. All right, so as with structured data, it has a character. So I'm assuming, okay, characters can include the alphabet that you might see on the keyboard, as well as numbers. Depending on your needs, multiple types are available that you can enforce character limits. Okay. Okay, so alphanumeric, because they could say what is the most widely used data type for storing character-based data, and it would be alphanumeric. To deliver orders, you need address information. All right, you're at your 1 minute before we go on break. So hopefully you will get up and get you some coffee or whatever it is that you need, or check your email, check out what's going on Facebook, Instagram. I am on both, by the way. Shameless plug. But if you guys have any questions, pop them inside of the box before you leave to go to the rush out to the bathroom or wherever it is that you're going. We're going to pause right here. For right now, I should probably put a nice little leaf here so we know to stop here when we go forward. But we'll see that because we at least have our highlight here on the page. So I'm just very interested in how this breakdown of this alphanumeric versus numeric data sets, but we'll see. Enjoy your break. All right, welcome back. So we've got 5 minutes, and we are now inside of the testing area. If you do get the book, you will be granted this space where you can go and work. And this allows you, like, this is their testing area. So we're going to go ahead and build out a quiz. Obviously, we don't have 40 minutes to go. So usually they will give us 8 minutes. We can do it in less time than that. But usually I try to do at least 4 questions. So let's see what we have. Jana is mapping data for transactional systems into analytical systems and then to a dashboard. What should she use to document the internal structure of the dashboard? Uh, I'm gonna go. Okay, so she's mapping from transaction. My first mind is saying wireframe. Okay, I'm gonna go with my first mind, even if we get it wrong. Um, but it's like first mind is telling me wireframe because she has to go through and like document this. So she's got to like, what this question is asking is you need to document how the data is going to flow, and she's mapping the data, and in doing so she would use like a wireframe, same way you would if you were putting together like a website or something like that. Okay, what is the mode of the following? I need to really study up on this. I'm going to go 43. Okay. Ike wants to understand which products influence the purchases of complementary products. Which is the most appropriate type of technique for the analysis? Wait, Ike wants to understand which products influence the purchase of complementary products. Which is the appropriate type? I don't know this. I mean, I could take a guess of exploratory data, but I don't think it's trend, but it could be link. Let me try. Okay. Yep. So it is link. It's just like, okay, I don't know. Link analysis uses network theory to explore the relationships between data points, making it the best approach for I. Trend analysis compares data over time. I knew it wasn't trend and I knew it wasn't performance. But I did know exploratory. So let me see what he said. An exploratory data analysis uses descriptive statistics to summarize data and provide context for ongoing analysis. Okay. Tasmin is collecting data on people's favorite flavor of ice cream. Which statistics can she use to identify the most popular flavor? Uh, sh- I'm gonna go median. Mean. Okay. The mean is the arithmetic average. The median represents the value in the middle. So I knew